Oh,
We'll introduce.
okay. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm here with Trisha. She has a broad experience with job seekers in the UAE market. And today she's going to give us a lot of useful information about the job market in the UAE and how to find a job. So Trisha, thank you for coming. Can you please tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. So those of you who don't know me, I am Trisha Chapman, the managing partner of Impressive CV. I focus on all of the necessary tools for a successful job application with a specific focus to the Dubai or UAE market.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I asked my community and I asked them about what they wanted to know about finding a job in the UAE. And of course, all the tips they wanted to hear from you. So I think we should start by talking a little bit about the UAE's job market overview, since I know there are a lot of people watching us that may not be really familiar with it. So yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about the industry, the skills, minimum wage, and all of that.
Yeah, sure, cool. So I guess Dubai, it's an amazing place to live. So the weather all around 360. It's pretty warm, pretty nice. There's probably 3 months of the year where it's just too hot. But then, of course, that means that everyone goes indoors because there's lots of activities. It's a tax-free environment for workers. So it really makes, and it really brings in the perks of best places to work. What does that mean? It means that the talent pools are quite big. So you've generally got quite a large number of applicants going for the one role. So I'm sure that you would have seen on LinkedIn, for example, you could have maybe 800, 1,000 people applying just for the one position, purely because the region is attracting so much talent. And of course, it's the hub for innovation. So a lot of new things, for example, crypto, a lot of the green energy, a lot of the ecosystems within the blockchain space. It's generally the place of innovation and new things that are happening.
Yeah, I know that they are really like going for innovation and like startups. So I do know that there's a lot of positions for that. I saw that recently they established a minimum wage, right?
Yep, absolutely, which is fantastic. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries, no worries. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So there's a new minimum wage, which is fantastic because I guess there was sort of a demeanor about the place that, you could use sort of slave labor or very cheap labor hire as a result of exportation, labor very poor, which means I guess that they're trying to make sure that they're up with the international standards. So I do have something to share, which is probably quite fantastic piece of information that you're welcome to have to be able to put in for your audience. But basically, university graduates should have a minimum monthly salary now of 12,000 dirham. So you can convert that into your own currency, but that's a nice amount considering that we were well and truly below that a few months ago. Skilled laborers must have a minimum of 5,000 dirham, and then anything in the form of technicians needs to have a minimum amount of 7,000 dirham monthly, which is, again, it's a considerable amount compared to where we used to be. There are lots of other average different salaries within this article, so I'll certainly share that with you, and then people can then, do their own research according to what their sector is.
Yeah. Perfect. One question: what's the difference between a skilled labor and the one below, a technician?
Yeah, so labor just basically means physically building things. So labor work. So your manual labor, construction, these types of roles where you're physically out there doing the labor work.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, now what about social security? Because we do get a lot of questions about health insurance and all of that. How does that work?
Yeah, cool. So generally speaking, what happens is, let me maybe take a step back and walk you through the process of landing employment in Dubai. So most people come to the UAE on a visit visa, usually, and then they will seek employment while they're in the country. You can find a job while you're outside, but it's a little bit tricky to be able to do it that way. So let's go off the traditional method. you'll come to Dubai on a visit visa, try and seek employment. And then once you have been successful, the organization or company that you work with will give you an offer letter and a contract. And now they've introduced a new form of contract where it is a 3-year contract. So before it was sort of unlimited. You could, once you've got the contract, you're guaranteed your work. Now it's only a 3-year position. So that means that you have the opportunity to be renewed or not. Once you do that, they will then send you off for a medical. So they will, go and test, do all the blood tests and X-ray, all of these types of things to make sure that you're fit and healthy for fit for work. And then they will process your Emirates ID. So you can't live in the country without an Emirates ID. So the employer's responsibility is to do that. You don't have to do anything. And then they will arrange the medical insurance according to what the company has got. So you don't have to do any of that work. You're automatically guaranteed medical insurance as a result of what the company is partnered with. So always have a look in your contract, because sometimes some organizations just offer the bare basics. And if you wanted, for example, sort of premium added insurance, you need to make sure that if there's a gap, that you're aware about it and how much you're going to have to pay out of your pocket. If that's not up to the level that you really want.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I also heard, and this is, I think, recent, that there was a small change in the visas, right?
Yeah, yep. So it's really fantastic. So there's been significant changes lately, which is really, fantastic for the global workforce to be able to come and establish themselves in the UAE. In a nutshell, and again, I'm happy to share a couple of links for you so you can do your own reading from reputable sources. But in a nutshell, you can now take 2 jobs, whereas before, if you had one employer, you were not allowed to work a second job unless you had an NOC, which is, like an approved document from your employer to say you could take 2 jobs. So now the government has said you're entitled to be able to work a second role, which I think is fantastic, because obviously it's a second source of income. Inflation, the cost of living, it's quite high. It can really support, your added income. On top of this, you can also live in Dubai if you have got a remote visa or a contract from your employer. So for example, if your employer in Spain or Europe somewhere says you can live anywhere in the world and work, then Dubai will accept you if you are a working citizen. So that's fantastic. And there are some changes to the freelance visas. They're really trying to establish people who are starting up their new businesses and trying to stimulate the economy with from a freelance business owner perspective.
Okay, great. I think people are going to like that a lot. Last question about the job market. There are a lot of people that want to go to Dubai with their families. So what happens if, for example, one person gets a job and they have a partner and maybe 2 kids? How does that work?
Yeah, perfect. So what happens is you would just come if one of the family members has obtained a contract, then they can come on a family visa. They would be the sponsor of the rest of the family, and then they can come and live in the country under the partner who has received the employment, and you can live, as normal. I guess you would just have to make sure that the partners or the person who's working can cover the costs, because it is quite expensive to live in Dubai, especially if you've got the one salary.
Right. Okay, perfect. So I hope everyone has a clear idea of the job market. Now I want to jump to the process specifically of finding a job. I want to start by asking you, where are the main places where you can search for a job?
Yeah, cool. So I guess where do I start? Because we could talk on this topic the whole day. So LinkedIn is the #1 platform in the UAE for employment. So certainly if you don't have an optimized LinkedIn profile and it's not sort of polished or got some subject matter expertise and thought leadership, I think you'll miss out on opportunities, because that's the #1 place to go. There are also several job boards. For example, bayit.com, Nakiri Golf, Gulf Talent, Indeed, these types of job boards where you can register your details, and then recruitment agencies or organizations will go to those job boards to source their talent. However, in saying that, your network is your net worth. So I really encourage you to try to build some connections with people who are already in the country, to try and put an internal referral in for you to be able to then land that opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's key also. Okay, so now that we know where to start, what would be the essential when it comes to job application? Which things do you need?
Yeah, cool. So definitely you need to have an ATS friendly, applicant tracking software friendly resume, because as you can imagine, and I mentioned earlier, that the volume of applicants is significantly different compared to our home countries. So they put in software to be able to screen all of those candidates so that then the artificial intelligence tries to select the right candidate. So having an ATS friendly CV is really important. Certainly that's something that I can help you with. I think also it's really important that you're not using the one resume for hundreds of different jobs. If, for example, you're applying for marketing CV, a marketing job, you need to have a marketing resume versus digital marketing or trade marketing. You need to have a different version accordingly. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Um, would it work if you put some of the information you have in your CV in your LinkedIn profile?
Absolutely. Yep. So having some quantifiable metrics. So it really showcases what your USP is, your unique selling proposition. So what differentiates you from the 500 other applicants, and how you do that is by having metrics. So for example, clear budgets, people management, some cost savings, process improvements, some digitalization, these types of things.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so now if my CV goes through, I'll be going to an interview, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then what are some specific things about Dubai that we should know in interviews?
Yeah, cool. So usually, I mean, not always, but usually the first sort of screening is done over a digital call. So Microsoft Teams or a Google Meet, one of these sort of platforms. And then you would be invited for a face-to-face interview after that screening process. I guess it's just a way to be able to weed out sort of all of the unnecessary candidates first. Don't forget, it's very hot in Dubai at the minute. So pack, maybe some makeup for all the ladies out there, maybe a spare shirt or a napkin for the men, because you don't want to come to the interview and just be like drenched in sweat, because trust me, the humidity, it's ridiculous. And then when you get inside, the AC is so cold that you need your snow jacket. So
Yeah.
make sure that you are prepared for the weather conditions coming in and out. And also probably what I could recommend most is have your pitch ready for that job description, because if you haven't briefed yourself, they will know. The recruitment team will know.
Right. Right. So maybe like checking the position before, just reading, okay, what can I do for this position that'll make me stand out and help, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly it. Absolutely.
Okay, okay, perfect. And then after the interview, I guess you hire and then you sign all the papers and then you get your Emirates ID, right?
Yeah, I mean, it usually takes anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. You can start work. So sometimes, I mean, not all employers, but usually you'll have like a temporary sort of pass. You can start work, and then the card will come to you at the office. Some organizations are strict, you can't start work until you've got the Emirates ID, but that's sort of all under duress of that employer. It does take
Okay.
time though, by the way. I just want to reiterate to everyone, it's not like you get hired today and you start tomorrow. No, Dubai, it's a little bit different. It's usually probably maybe a 3-week wait until you've accepted till you start.
Okay, that's useful to know so people can have that in their budget, right? Because it's going to take longer.
Yeah, and don't forget you get paid monthly. So
Okay,
you'll have to wait a month till your first paycheck comes.
okay, okay, perfect. Um, okay, so now that we have a clear sense of the process, I wanted to ask you about some specific tips or things that people can do in the process. And then the first one would be, what are maybe the most common mistakes when people are looking for a job in Dubai?
Yeah, cool. So I guess depends if you're in the country or not. Let's take maybe some advice from both aspects. So one, you're on LinkedIn and you're saying, "Hi, ma'am, I need a job." Or just directly to the point, "Hi, ma'am, I'm in Dubai on a visit visa. What opportunities do you have?" So you need to be cautious when you're, emailing and pitching yourself, that you don't just go direct to the point. It's not like, at a networking event, you wouldn't just go up to someone the first time and say, "Hi, can I have a job?" No, you need to build the relationship, understand the dynamics, make sure that you have the interpersonal skills. So really try that on LinkedIn. Don't just directly, "I need a job." I think as well, again, I mentioned it, but just using the one resume for all of the applications and then praying that you'll get something.
Yeah.
And I think as well, not getting yourself out there. So if you're on a visit visa, go to some networking events, go to somewhere where your target companies have some after work drinks, or maybe an event where you can meet people and just sort of mingle, chit chat. Have a business card or a CV or something even digital, like a QR code, so that then you can easily exchange people's information. And one last thing, sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. Make sure as well that you write your contacts down, because you meet these people and then all of a sudden you forgot who you met, and then 2 weeks later you can't recall who you've met. So be vigilant with your networking.
Right. Okay. About these mistakes, I have some questions. So like one would be, you do recommend for people to reach out to recruiters,
Yep.
but in a good way, right?
Yeah, just like share their LinkedIn content, follow them, like them, comment, just try to get noticed visibly. See if there's a phone number on the end of the page of like the company, for example, Michael Page. You can go down, contact us, see if there's a phone number and pick the phone up. Go to the career portal on your target company. So what happens usually is people want a job and then they start applying for like 100 different jobs in one day. What I suggest you do is you be focused and strategic. So pick 10 companies or 12 companies and say, right, for the next 3 months, this is only who I'm going to be targeting. And I'm going to connect with hiring managers such as business development, marketing managers, and the HR team, and try and get noticed from these only target companies. Otherwise, you'll become very generalized and get lost in the pile.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Then the other one I had about networking events, I don't know if maybe you have a website or a place where you can find out about the events that are going to happen.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I do have a UAE members only area. So it's $1.50 per month to be able to sign up. You can cancel at any stage, no problems, but it's packed with valuable information such as what's happening in the country, various updates on visas, everything related to the Dubai region. It's on my website. You can sign up and then you can view that, and you get an email every week with alerts, for updates for the UAE region.
Okay, perfect. So I'll link it down below so everyone can
I'll do that too.
go check it out. Okay, and then we do get a lot of students going to Dubai, and of course they want to enter the job market. So what do you recommend for them that they're just starting their career?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I think it can be a little bit tough. Most of the time, the UAE region is looking for people with 5 years or so and more experience. It's not impossible to get a job, I'm not saying that, but generally speaking, that's sort of the market requirements. But then again, register yourself on the career portals of your target organizations. Find out, do they have an internship program that you can enroll yourself in? Also speak with universities. Sometimes they've got like a sister organization that they are partnered with from the university, that you went to. And not only Dubai, for example, you could speak with someone in maybe Qatar or Saudi to see if there's affiliates within the region that you can register yourself with.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And then in the other hand, what about people that are older, maybe 35 or older, and they have a lot of experience? Would it be a good idea for them?
Yeah, is 35 old? Yeah, so it's a great region for this age group, because generally speaking, what happens is you can excel in your career. So maybe in your home country, people don't resign as frequently, or they're at the director level. You have to wait till, say, I don't know, 45 and above, for example. Whereas the UAE region, you can generally do quite well with your career and take a position early on, and then obviously sort of jump the ladder a little bit more quickly than perhaps in our home country. So I really think that if you fine tune your skills, have a look at your target companies and target job titles, work out what skill sets am I missing to be able to get there, close that gap with some, I don't know, skills on some short courses online or some extended tasks in your home country, so that then once you come here, you've already got that experience, and then you can apply for that level above more quickly than what you could back home.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so to sum up, I think it would be really important to have a good CV, right? A good LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Focus when you're searching, and maybe try to meet a lot of people and just make yourself known,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Don't be scared to say I'm looking for a job, because no one's going to offer you one if they don't know. Everyone's been there. So just be upfront and say, I'm looking for a job in this field area. Do you know anyone that would be able to support me? And take the notes of the people's contact details.
Right. Perfect. Okay. Would you add anything else for someone to
Um,
keep in mind?
Well, look, I mean, I think we've covered a lot, which is fantastic. Honestly, if anyone needs any support with their CV, with their LinkedIn, with support in terms of building connections with their recruiters and hiring managers, this is something that myself and my team can help you with. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg. I'd much prefer to see you, on a frequent basis. Sign up to my members area, and I'll be more than happy to support you.
Okay, perfect. So again, I'll leave the link down below. And thank you, Trisha, for all your tips and
You are
information.
most welcome. It was really nice chatting. We'll keep connected.
All right, same.